Oh, man. Do not adjust your screens, tablets, phones, whatever you are viewing on right now. Your screens are fine. It just happens to be before 5 a.m. The sun isn't even out yet. But it's a travel day, we're out in the world, and we got a lot of ground to cover. But I always promised you guys, if I can film a review for you guys, you will be getting a review. Well, I was able to find time. It just happens to be before 5 a.m. So if anybody ever in the future wants to question BC's dedication to his audience, you can refer them back to this video when we were screaming at 5 a.m. I can't even read my notes. Can't even read my notes, man. That's dedication. I hope you guys appreciate that. But because of the time constraints that we have today, we do have to jump right into this review. And before we do, first and foremost, we need to congratulate. We send our congrats, love, and all the best to Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, who both just had their baby girl, Rue. I thought it was Roe because it's spelled R-O-U-X, but I think I heard Tom Phillips say Rue. So whether it's Roe, Rue, congratulations to Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. That is awesome, man. I'm not a big kids person. The thought of 2, 3, 4, 5 kids running around the household as I'm stressed out, that doesn't really pique my interest. But to each their own. That's still badass, man. And for people that want to start a family that are able to, and you know, no matter how you feel superstar status-wise about Becky Lynch or Seth Rollins, man, we always want the best for these guys and gals. So I think that's awesome. And when I heard that news, for some reason, I thought we were still weeks away. But no, Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, I guess, sent out something on social media, and they made reference of it last night on Raw. So for those of you that didn't know, if you don't watch Raw, I know that's a lot of you guys, you just tune into the review. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, they had their kid, man. Little baby girl, Rue. Possibly Roe. But Tom Phillips knows how to pronounce names way better than the Ant-Man. In fact, I think I finally got Mustafa Ali's correct pronunciation. It is Mustafa, not Mustafa. Tom Phillips pronounced this. He's really particular on how he pronounces shit. So it is Mustafa, not Mustafa. I hope that makes it. Does anybody even give a fuck? All right, I'm just letting you guys know. Congratulations to Becky and Seth. Now, as for the start of Raw, if you ever wondered how close Vince was with Pat Patterson, check this out. Patterson received a second 10-bell salute last night. Not a lot, if any, former superstars receive that much love. Vince really loved that dude, and it showed. Pat Patterson was that special to a lot of people. A lot of people. But Vince McMahon especially, man, and you can tell how much time they dedicated to Pat Patterson. You didn't see that with Roddy Piper or Macho Man or even Ultimate Warrior. Pat Patterson, between SmackDown and Monday Night Raw, man, not just the 10-bell salute, not just the full roster on the stage, but throughout the night, SmackDown and last night on Raw, you went back to Pat Patterson, full-fledged Frank Sinatra's song, man. I Did It My Way. That is not cheap. That's expensive to get the rights to. And Vince McMahon paid for it both nights. Man, Pat Patterson, dude, he touched a lot of people's hearts. And Vince McMahon, that was his dude. And you could tell Vince was going to stop at no expense to pay tribute to Pat Patterson because that's how we started Raw, man. Another 10-bell salute. And throughout the night, we kept going back to Pat Patterson. So, again, you know, that's it. You kind of wish that all the past superstars that got that much love, you know? You kind of wish that that's what you did, you know? You paid homage and tribute like that. It shouldn't just be Pat Patterson. Moving on to the actual show, Randy Orton stands middle of the ring with words for The Fiend. Bray Wyatt appears on the Tron and we play a game of Let's Get Randy. I'm not going to go into details on what the game consisted of, or we'll be here another hour, but let's just say I could easily watch an entire hour of the Firefly Funhouse. That's how entertaining Bray Wyatt is. Everything Bray Wyatt touches turns to gold. You can put him at the start of the show, the middle, you can put him at the end, and it's going to captivate you. And with Bray Wyatt in the story with Randy Orton, it's just illuminated. It's just even more better because they complement one another. They're both master manipulators. So the story itself speaks and writes itself. You know, there was a lot of untapped business you could have done between Randy and Bray back in the day that I feel they're just starting to scratch the surface with today. Unfortunately, TLC is literally next Sunday. So I believe you have one more Monday Night Raw, the go-home show, and then it's TLC time. So unfortunately, time just moves very fast, man. But if you gave me 3 months to build Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, man, we could have some fun, creative, epic shit. But, you know, I'm just happy to see these two working together for the time that we do have them with, man, because, wow, man, it's just, yeah. And the Firefly Funhouse, like I said, with how bad Raw is, I think an hour of the Firefly Funhouse would be more entertaining than anything else on Raw. I truly stand by that. I believe that Bray Wyatt is the most creative character easily in WWE. And easily one of the more captivating superstars. Even if you don't like Bray, I think everybody would have to admit that he's the only dude that even piques your interest. Roman Reigns now as a heel over on SmackDown, absolutely. But aside from Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns, maybe you could think of another name or two. Maybe. That really captivates you. Or at least, even if you don't like them, piques your interest. I think I speak for most. I'm not going to say all, but I think I speak for most that Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt are the only two dudes that really pique your interest. Maybe a few others. AJ Styles for his wrestling ability, obviously. But even AJ Styles, storyline-wise, when he comes through the curtain, you're not going, oh, I can't wait for this. You know? We're happy to see AJ. We like AJ. We hope it's going to be a good match. With AJ, usually it is. But as far as captivating us, I don't know, man. There's very few characters that do that. Roman's doing it now, and Bray Wyatt pretty much always has, even when he was that mysterious woodsy character with the Wyatt family. The dude always captivated me. Now, just more than ever, man. It's amplified for sure. So, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt start this thing off with some promo work. And this leads to Orton challenging Bray Wyatt. Not The Fiend, that'll be Sunday, he says. But I want Bray Wyatt. So Bray says, you know, is yowie wowie. Let's do it. So we got a match with Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. And that's, for the first time in a long time, guys, a Raw main event piqued my interest. I'm down. You got TLC anyway. The Fiend versus Randy Orton is just one match of many on that card. You want to have this Bray Wyatt take on Randy? Dude, I'm fine with that. Absolutely, especially because TLC is next Sunday, and everybody wants to say, well, it's the same person. It's the same person, man. Yeah, it's the same person, but dumbass, it's a different character. We did not complain like this with the Three Faces of Foley. Nobody said, oh, Undertaker's taking on Cactus Jack. I don't want to see this. I already saw him with Mankind. It's the same character, the same moves. It's the same dude, man. Right? I mean, same dude. In fact, forget the Three Faces of Foley. It was more like the Four Faces of Foley because Mick Foley wrestled as himself and as Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mankind. And we loved it. Didn't matter if Stone Cold was taking on Mankind one week, Cactus Jack the next, and Dude Love the next. We loved it. But now today, you're not allowed to have an alter ego. Or today, somebody is boring to these wrestling fans. I mean, that's the things I'm reading now. Now, all of a sudden, one of the brightest spots in the whole entire show, in an otherwise shit show, one of the few shining stars, now the fans have already turned their backs on this dude. It's the same match. They have the same moves. Well, if you're trying to tell me that Mankind and Cactus Jack were that much different in moveset, please, you're fooling yourself, not the Ant-Man. Same reason that we love when Finn Balor transforms into the Demon. It's because it becomes an illuminated superstar. It's Finn Balor amplified. Same reason we love Mick Foley turning into Mankind or Cactus Jack. It's illuminated. It's amplified. Same reason we love Bray Wyatt turning into the Fiend. It's a different character. So you have everybody going, yeah, it's the same person with the same moves, but it's a different psychology. It's a different mindset, different mannerisms. It's a different character. That's why we love the Fiend. That's why we love the Demon. That's why we loved Cactus Jack and Mankind. But yet today's wrestling fan literally just wants to find even the one shining part of the show, which just a couple months ago we were all agreeing was Bray Wyatt, and now all of a sudden I'm reading things like, he's boring, this is stupid, it's the same person. Of course it's the same person, man. It's a different character. If that's the case, then why did you ever get behind The Undertaker, but you never got behind Mark Calloway in WCW? It's the same person. Why were you not cheering for Glenn Jacobs, but when he was the badass Kane, not the reduced version that we saw in past years, but when Kane first came around and we were all in awe, but why weren't you in awe of Isaac Yankem then? I mean, when Papa Shango was coming down and you weren't giving him that big round of applause, but you gave that round of applause to the Godfather. But why not Papa Shango? Different characters. I can go on and on with people who had different characters. Doink the Clown was way different than the Repo Man. Demolition Smash was way different than the Repo Man, but they were the same dude. One of the Doinks, anyway. But Smash was the Repo Man. A lot of people don't even know that. Different character. It's different. Yes, they'll have the same moves. I would think so. It's the same human being. But it's amazing. It just amazes me that today we have such a problem with somebody playing two different characters. BC, it's not that, man. It's that they're having a match not too far off from TLC. Well, guys, we're in a company that just does rematches, so I feel you on that. I can't stand the rematches. But this is the one time it makes sense that when you have an alter ego character, you have one of the egos face them. I'm cool with that. We used to see it back in the day with Stone Cold. Right? We saw it back in the day with Mick and his plethora of characters. If somebody was about to take on one of Mick's characters, they would get his alter egos leading up. We saw it a couple of times back in the day. I understand this is not Mick Foley. It's a different era, but dude, WWE has sucked for years. Finally, we get a bright spot in an otherwise shit show. And already people are turning their backs on this dude. And trust me, I understand the booking has not been top notch, but that doesn't mean you just jump off the fucking train. I mean, you gotta stick with people. This is one dude that deserves to be stuck with. It's not like Braun Strowman, who's been yin and yanged and 50-50'd since he started, and he seems to be all right with it. He doesn't care about his creative control. He lets other people spend the time and energy into his character. He's just along for the ride. No, with Bray Wyatt, he gives a shit. He's trying to be the most creative part of the show because he knows the show needs it drastically. And everybody's just fucking jumping off. Nah. I'm even seeing Bray's boring. He just doesn't do it for me. Wow, man. Talk about being on two different sides of the spectrum. Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt in a Randy Orton storyline. I mean, all of this is what bores you. On 3 hours of Monday Night Raw that is sleep-inducing, that's what's boring you? It's amazing, man. It's amazing when I see people totally shit on something like Bray and Randy Orton. When I see people shit on that, then I think, you know what? They're never going to change then. Because no matter what they do, it's just going to be shit on. There's no expectation. I mean, unless we have two dudes doing gymnastics in the middle of that ring, that's the only thing that's going to satisfy today's wrestling fan. Nobody wants to see larger-than-life superstars. Right? They complain that there is no larger-than-life superstars, and then when people come along that captivate, they jump right off. The booking's horrible. He lost to Goldberg, and therefore, I'm done with this guy. Remember Seth Rollins? Yes, I remember. I flipped out about it. I'm pissed off to this day about it. I get it. Doesn't mean you fucking jump ship on somebody. Today's wrestling fan is fickle. Fickle, as Daniel Bryan would say. Amazes me how people can turn their backs on dudes like Bray Wyatt, but that's what you start to see. But luckily, BC doesn't give a shit. I know what is good and what is absolutely atrocious. 3 hours of Raw is atrocious. The few minutes we get with Bray Wyatt, whether he's the Fiend or Bray, whether he's with Alexa or not, those are the brightest spots of the show. And that's how we kicked it off, and that's how we're going to end it. If you didn't want to see Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, too fucking bad. That's what you got last night. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Maybe you cried. I have no fucking idea. But we started off with setting that match up. Now, we go into Asuka versus Shayna Basler. This was a 9-minute match. 8 minutes. I can barely see the fucking notes here, guys, man. This is great. We got the sun slowly coming up, though, man. It's coming up. I'm telling ya. Asuka, Shayna Basler, 9-minute match. 8 minutes into this thing, and we got a damn good wrestling match going on. It's Asuka and Shayna. I'm not that shocked. Then all of a sudden, these two dumbasses on the outside, Lana and Nia Jax, start throwing their weekly I need attention tantrums. And the actual wrestling match was ruined because Lana and Nia want to pull their outside shenanigans. A minute later, Asuka hits the awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating Farouk roll-up, and Shayna Basler is pinned. At least the champion actually won this time. I hate seeing champions lose. So at least Asuka won. That's good. On the flip side, why is Shayna Basler losing 3 weeks in a row? I can't. And it's the fruit roll-up. Asuka, your champion face, needs to squeak out a victory. The fruit roll-up is the most pathetic victory in all of pro wrestling. It's basically saying I couldn't actually defeat you, so I tried to do it in the most fucking lucky way possible. Because it's the lucky pin, right? You got two people going to war, and then all of a sudden one rolls them up in a little bit of a package, and the other person can't get their shoulder up. Damn it, you just beat me. Asuka the face is winning via a roll-up. Shayna Basler is getting pinned for the 3rd week in a row. This is the 2nd time at least that she's been fruit roll-upped in 3 weeks. So I believe twice in 3 weeks she's been fruit roll-upped. Twice, I believe, was from Asuka, if I remember correctly. I mean, what are we doing, guys? Shayna and Asuka, and for the first 8 minutes, I honestly thought, hey, they're giving us a wrestling match here that we give a shit about. Should be at a pay-per-view for a championship. I would have built that up because I believe this is their first time one-on-one in WWE's main roster. But whatever. At that point, just give me a damn good solid match. Give them 20 minutes and let's have a show. Right? I just saw Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton storyline. You lead into Asuka and Shayna and I'm good. No, after 8 minutes, you got Lana and Nia Jax stealing the attention. A minute later, I'm seeing a fruit roll-up. And Shayna Basler's being pinned for the 3rd week in a row. Unreal. At least again, the champion actually won. But here's a crazy concept. If that's what you have planned, then don't do it. Don't have them in the ring together. Asuka has to win. Shayna cannot lose. That's a recipe for disaster. That's what we got. Hour number 1 ends with a mixed tag match. Dana Brooke and Ricochet versus Slapjack and Mia Yim. That's right, I said Mia Yim. I refuse to call her whatever her other name. I don't even know what the fuck it is. Tropical Retribution, Tropical fucking Resoning. Reckoning, whatever. It's Mia Yim. Mia Yim and Slapjack versus Dana Brooke and Ricochet. This was a 3-minute match. Legit, 3 minutes. Dana Brooke pinned Mia Yim. So moments earlier, I'm seeing Shayna Basler getting a fruit roll-up. A few minutes later, literally a few minutes later, Dana Brooke is pinning Mia Yim. Yet again. Mustafa Ali. Tom Phillips has told me how to correctly pronunciate it. Mustafa was once again yelling at Mia Yim for losing, but again, the whole premise of Retribution was supposed to be a group of losers. That's what Mustafa said it was. Mustafa said he went around and found all of the outcasts, everybody that didn't belong, the losers, basically. And he brought them together because, damn it, they're winners. But no, they're exactly what the reason they got outcasted, storyline-wise, is playing out now on screen. And that sucks because Mia Yim is far from a loser. Mia Yim is damn good, and I'm hoping this all leads to Mia Yim getting the fuck out of that group. But to get there, you can't have her lose every week. So you say, BC, this is going to lead to Mia Yim finally, leaving Retribution. That's good, but you can't have the damage done in the process, right? To get to that point, you can't ruin Mia Yim. And if you allow her to lose another 2 to 3 weeks, so if you're racking up 4 or 5 losses in a month and a half, then by the time she leaves, nobody's going to give a fuck. Everybody, especially the casuals, they're going to give up on her because she's just losing. I mean, if you can't even beat Dana Brooke, you got fucking issues. If you're losing to Dana twice, you got problems. You can't ruin somebody by having them lose every week. And the culminating moment is what you're hoping is going to make everybody forget. Yeah, she lost 5 weeks in a row, but see, now she's a good guy. She left the group. Okay? We still remember her losing to Dana Brooke 4 weeks in a row, and then to Lana 3 weeks. And then they brought back Alicia Fox for 4 losses. Or 4 wins over Mia Yim. And fucking Eva Marie. Remember Eva Marie? She came back and beat Mia Yim 2 weeks. And then finally, Mustafa kicked her out of the group. You can't damage her on the way to get to the point you're trying to get at. Hope that makes sense. Hour number 2 begins with Miz TV. Guest was AJ Styles. They did a comedy shtick for about 3 minutes. Maybe it was funny. Who knows? I zoned out. I was not into this at all. Sheamus interrupts with Drew McIntyre and everyone starts brawling, except AJ Styles. But we're going to see this weird handicap match coming up in literally just a couple of segments. Not even later in the night. In a couple of segments, we're going to see a handicap match between all of these individuals. So why was this segment needed? It wasn't. It's rhetorical. This segment was useless. It just took up TV time. Because we saw all 5 of these dudes in a match a couple of segments later. But what do I know? I'm just a YouTuber. Kofi Kingston versus Shelton Benjamin is next. It is depressing and frustrating to see how mediocre this company is. This is a billion-dollar company with 617 Hollywood writers on primetime television, and this is what they come up with. Last week, it was Cedric versus Xavier, so this week, we'll have Kofi and Shelton. We'll just keep moving the parts of the tag team and do one-on-ones. Because that's brilliant. It's a good thing that we hired 617 writers. Or else we'd never come up with this epic concept. Xavier and Cedric last week, Kofi and Shelton this week. This is primetime television with Hollywood writers. And this is the shit we're getting. Kennedy McMahon. Kennedy McMahon is the one sole individual allowing this shit to fucking happen. Nobody else but Vince McMahon. Unfucking real. So dumb. So not fun. It's the opposite of intriguing. Kofi wins with trouble in paradise. At least it wasn't a fruit roll-up. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Kofi wins the match. Good. Take your W, hit the showers. But no! Then I went to take a piss. And when I came back, Kofi was then facing Cedric out of nowhere. So Kofi just beat Shelton. I take a piss, I come back, and now he's taking on Cedric Alexander. And I'm just thinking, what the fuck is this company doing? This shit show is all over the place. Cedric defeats Kofi via pinfall, and you want to talk 50-50 booking? Just look at Kofi Kingston from last night. The dude's picking up a W on Shelton, then he's losing to Cedric, and he's hitting the showers, contemplating life. Am I a winner? Am I a loser? I don't know. And if you don't know, the rest of us aren't gonna know. 50-50 booking at its worst. 50-50 booking in literally just 2 segments over the course of a 12-minute period. A win, a loss, Vince doesn't give a fuck. Who cares if I ruin motherfuckers? Hour number 2 ended and hour number 3 began with that aforementioned handicap match. Miz, Morrison, and Styles versus McIntyre and Sheamus. Sheamus inadvertently bro kicks McIntyre, then gets hit with a phenomenal forearm, and Styles picks up the W over Sheamus. And that's that. All right. Did we need the Biz TV to set that up? No. Did we need this match? No. Was it completely boring? Absolutely not. It had its moments. And by the way, Drew and Sheamus had a fun backstage brawl afterwards, man, because Drew McIntyre was pissed off at Sheamus for kicking him, and these are 2 dudes that had a little bit of a beef, so they just started brawling before they sent Pat Buck through a table, and then they kind of looked at each other and they were like, you know, pints? Let's go grab some drinks. And they were friends again, man. I love that. It reminded me back to brawling with my boys growing up. You know, you had a beef, you would brawl, you beat the hell out of one another, and then you pick the other one up, you shake hands, dust each other off, and you'd go drinking by the end of the night. You know, that's how you settled shit back when I was growing up, man. I love that. And that's how these 2 fucking dudes, man. I love that. When you can have a beef, when you can beat the fuck out of one another, and then you just shake hands, you know, that's respect, that's maturity, that's some alpha dudes doing alpha shit. I love that, man. So Drew and Sheamus, that I actually did enjoy. And another thing you notice, guys, that Adam Pearce has not been seen since he botched with the Drew McIntyre 2 weeks ago. Ever since that botch, you have not seen Adam Pearce. We saw him during the 10-bell salute for Pat Patterson, but that was it. On camera, I hadn't seen any Adam Pearce. In fact, it was Pat Buck that took that table shot last night. So, just saying, man, that's another thing that I noticed. Moving on to hour number 3. We're already into it at this point. Jeff Hardy versus Bobby Lashley. Of course, Lashley had the Hurt Business in his corner, or at least MVP, but Hardy wasn't alone. The CEO of Dunkin' Bronuts was with him, Matt Riddle. Not just Riddle, I call him Matt. We shall call him Matt Riddle on this channel, just like Mia Yim is not Tropical Seasoning, or whatever the fuck they call her. So, the king of, and the CEO of Dunkin' Bronuts, Matt Riddle, is in the corner of Matt Hardy. Yeah, Matt Hardy's back, man. He transported the WWE. Jeff Hardy. So, listen, with the passion of Riddle and the franticness of MVP and the excitement on commentary, you would have thought this was a main event at, like, SummerSlam. I mean, damn, dude. Even Kevin Dunn had those poor people in the Thunderdome, you know, the virtual people. Kevin Dunn had them working their asses off, clapping nonstop, hooting and hollering. You could tell he was telling them these things. And they weren't even getting paid for this. But they tried to make this thing electric. And I'm thinking, is this just Jeff Hardy and Bobby Lashley? Acting like it's a main event at SummerSlam, brah. Lashley hits the Hurt Lock and Hardy is defeated. I hate to see Hardy lose, but I love to see champions win. Same thing with Shayna and Asuka, right? I hate to see Shayna lose because she lost 2 weeks previous. This is 3 weeks in a row. But I love to see a champion look like a champion, and here's a crazy concept, win a match! And that's what Asuka did last night, and that's what Bobby Lashley did in this match. So, whatever. I'm not going to harp on it. Main event was Randy Orton versus my boy, Bray Wyatt. This was a good match. Am I biased because I'm fully behind Bray Wyatt? Maybe. But that doesn't subside the fact that the match was good. Good pace, good action, and the best part with these two, good psychology. Obviously, they're of the same mindset. Orton hits a late RKO, but the lights go out. When they turn on, it's not Bray Wyatt that Orton is covering. It's The Fiend. And The Fiend locks that mandible claw in, and I mean locked it in, man. Orton sold it beautifully, like he was fucked. The Fiend went beast mode, and we went off the air. I like that, man. That's if you're asking me if I'm ready to see The Fiend take on Randy Orton now, absolutely. Just as I was before the night, just as I was during this match with them two wrestling, I was always on board with The Fiend and Randy Orton. This did not make me want to see that any less. Because again, two different characters. It's not the same protocol that WWE is where it's just a rematch. Rematch after rematch. It's two different characters. People may not like that. Maybe they don't enjoy it. Maybe they literally want to shit on everything. Even the brightest spots of the show. The only bright spot of the fucking show. Maybe they just want to shit on that too. Maybe that literally just doesn't do that for them. That's on them. I know what I'm looking for in pro wrestling. Bray Wyatt is that dude. That's that guy. That's that son of a bitch. I'm going to sit there. That remote's going down, and I am captivated by Bray Wyatt. Everything this dude touches turns to gold. For the Amplified Man, anyway. The best part of this show was Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. The worst part of this show was everything else. That's your review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll hopefully get to AEW later. We got a lot of traveling and stuff to do this week, especially actually for the rest of 2020. But hopefully we'll get to AEW this week. I really want to cover that. If not, I'll definitely try to get back to you guys for SmackDown later this weekend. Hey, it's finally coming up! The coffee shops are finally open. We can get a coffee and we can go about our business, man. And we got the review in, man. I know it started out like it was a fucking audio format only video. But hey! Here's the Ant-Man. Much love and respect to all you guys, man. Keep kicking that ass. And, yeah, we'll do this again very soon, man. For now, check you later.